everybody. You may have recognized that music, but you didn't recognize that logo. What's good? What's happening, everybody? It's your boy Ferris Madonna. Welcome to a great special edition of the Rewatchers Council, because today we branched out once again. We gave you the Buffy universe. Then we added Angel to it. But now we're going to do a completely different Rewatchers Council. We are going to be rewatching the Marvel Cinematic Universe, starting from the first film, and that is Iron Man 1, starring Tony Stark. But without further ado, I'm not going on this journey alone. This journey will take all of us, because it's a lot of movies.
It is.
A lot of movies.
A lot of
You
movies
just-
and the Disney Plus series. We're
Yes.
doing those too.
We're doing those too. But without further ado, let me introduce you.
Oh man, for real?
Yeah.
Yeah, man, we're gonna do
Oh
You
shit.
like some of them. You like some of them. And the voice you heard starting off to my left is Adelia. Adelia, how are you?
I'm good, Ferris. I thought it was really funny that you said this film is starring Tony Stark because it's
Oh.
starring Robert Downey Jr.
Alright.
as Tony Stark.
Good point.
But yeah, really looking forward to this. I haven't planned out all the dates, but the last time I checked, we were into 2028 with the end of this rewatch. So we've got content for a while. So I hope everyone likes it.
Yes, but joining us, Adelia, it is the man, the myth, the legend, Big Sexy.
Oh,
Justin
I thought
Hamilton. Justin,
I was going to say
how are
Matt
you, man?
Munoz, but no, I'm doing pretty good. I signed onto this for the movies. I didn't know about the Disney Plus shows.
Well, you don't have to be on every episode, Justin.
Yeah,
God, boy, some of that doo doo. I'm just playing. It is what it is.
no, you're right. Some of it is. Some of it's not.
Some of it is.
Yeah,
Trust me, I'm not looking forward to watching Secret Invasion again.
yeah. But that Justin, but that's in 2027.
Yeah, something like
so,
that.
Yeah, so we're
Are you
good.
assuming I may not be on this earth at that time?
No, I'm just
No.
saying. You have
Is that
time.
an old joke?
No, not a no
No.
joke. I'm saying it's a long way away. We're
Gotcha.
doing a lot of movies first. 2020, you know what I mean? So
I will say this: I was, I thought, I guess I had the timeline out of order here, but I actually thought that the Incredible Hulk was the first MCU movie before they actually started doing what they started doing with Iron Man and stuff. But I was corrected on that. I guess it's the second movie.
It
Yes.
is.
yes,
It's next week's movie.
yes,
On
the
this
Incredible Hulk
show.
is next. Yes, it is next week's film. You know, so we'll talk about that later on. But joining us, it is patron, friend, Discord savant, none other than L.A. Well, actually no, yeah, L.A.'s favorite sunshine, Matt Munoz. Matt, how are you?
Pretty good. No, I'm
You
good,
bright-
thank you.
Yeah, you brighten
I'm
people's day, man. You brighten people's day just like the sun, bro.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. So let's go around, guys. 2008, Iron Man. I want to know where everybody was. Dude, where were you? May 2nd, 2008.
May 2nd is actually my father's birthday, so I was probably celebrating his birthday somewhere. I didn't see this in the theaters. I didn't see this actually for probably like a couple of years after it came out.
Mhm.
But yeah, I was probably celebrating my father's birthday on May 2nd, 2008.
Yeah, nice. Justin, May 2nd, 2008. Where were you, man?
Man, my kid was like 1 year old. Now he's an adult.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Whoa, he was born in 07. Oh, my God.
He was knee deep in doo doo.
Jesus. I ain't even that old, but that makes me feel old.
Mhm.
Wow.
Ferris, you're not allowed to feel old.
Oh, sorry.
Not at your age.
Well, tell that to my knee. All right, you tell that to my right knee.
Probably his lower back. You know,
Yeah,
what
my
I'm
lower
saying?
back.
I mean, you do carry Werther's in your pocket, so maybe
That's
you're
right.
old.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, there's that. So Matt, May 2nd. 2008.
Officer, I was at. I don't know. I'm pretty sure I saw this one in theaters when it came out. I'm pretty sure. I don't know. I know I didn't see it opening day, but
Justin, I love that you have Werther's as well.
What flavor is that, man? What flavor is that?
Well, that's the only real flavor, caramel. What are you talking about?
All right, good.
Do they even make another flavor?
They make more. They make. I think there's like a coffee one. There's a mocha one. There's ones that are caramel filled. So like there's ones that are with the apple, the caramel.
Guys,
Sorry, but we'll talk about that later. Let's talk about Iron Man, guys. May 2nd, 2008. Director Jon Favreau, who also plays Happy Hogan. Writers were Mark Fergus, Hawk Otsby, and Art McCum and Matt Holloway.
Markham.
Marvel. Top stars: Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark / Iron Man, Terrence Howard as James Rhodes Rhodey, Jeff Bridges as Obadiah Stane. The budget: 140 million. Adjusted for inflation, 2025, that'd be 207.9 million. Adjusted for inflation. The box office: we got the original release opening weekend, 98.6 million. Adjusted for inflation, at 146.5 million dollars. Total domestic in '08, 318.6 million. 2025, 476.2 million. And Adelia, what was
473.2.
470.2 million adjusted for inflation? Adelia, can you drop the total worldwide number for me?
This made $585.3 million worldwide, which in today's money, adjusted for inflation, would be $869.5 million.
Yeah, man, it was a big budget. And I just want to go on. We all watched it. Me, Adelia, and Matt watched it together. We loved it. Still, I think it still holds up. I want to go around everybody and tell us our more intricate feelings about the film. Adelia, let's start with you. Your feelings on Iron Man.
I think this is the best version of this type of film that Marvel made. They tend to fall into the formula after this film is a success of this is how you origin your character, especially if it's somebody that has a counterpart evil bad guy that has the
Mhm.
same sort of like powers or tech or whatever. I think this is better than Ant-Man. I think this is better than Shang-Chi. I think this is better than a lot of them. It's one of my favorite Marvel movies to this day. I think it was a great start. There are some aspects about it that I don't like, but that I just know are part of Tony Stark's character. And I'm glad we moved away from those real quick. Because the beginning of this movie, when he's a womanizing, sexist asshole, is a little rough to watch for me. But I'm glad that didn't show up again really in the MCU after this.
Justin.
Um, with what I was gonna say something about like what you could tell this movie was like 2008, but actually like well, so I kind of agree with Adelia to a certain point. She probably wouldn't want that in the movie, but I'm actually glad that that's in the movie. The
Yeah.
joke he makes to the lady that's driving the Humvee, him doing like what he was because he was rich and powerful and stuff like that. Because what we got and what we probably got throughout this whole entire film session that MCU has done as the natural progression of a character that's done probably the best. I think the major part about this movie that makes it the best is not the bad guy, the ultimate bad guy that he fights or anything like that. It's not even action to a certain point because there are action set pieces, but not as much as some of the other movies we get in the future. It's literally the character progression of
Mhm.
Tony Stark. And if
Mhm.
and that's why I love the fact and going back and watching this movie, it was kind of refreshing because I do think today, if that movie was made today, if it was done in 2025, we wouldn't get that kind of a character progression because maybe they would show like Tony Stark a little bit, maybe not the perfect person, and then he kind of grows into whatever. But like because we got this in that time period, people were willing to go ahead and go like, you know what, we're going to go like hardcore here at first. We're going to show you that Tony Stark wasn't this great person that changes during the movie. So even though you may not like the things he's doing, but that's kind of the whole point is for you
Yeah.
not to
Yeah.
like those things that he's
Yes,
doing.
absolutely.
Whereas like in a movie we're about to get here in a couple of months in 2025, we have the Fantastic Four, and we have somebody like the Human Torch, which is kind of like the old, the jock who's like going out there and seeing the ladies and stuff, and they've already told us like that they're changing that part of his character, and I'm like, well, no, that's part of his character. Like, why are you even doing the movie if you're not going to do the character like it needs to be? Because that's part of his story, right? That's why he gets in conflicts, is because he's doing those type of things, and then his family like has to come around him. They get together. That's part of it. When you take that away, that character innately changes. If you look at Tony Stark, because he's this rich, powerful guy who's out there, before he becomes Iron Man, he's just out there willy nilly selling his like bombs and things that he's inventing without any care in the world, doing that kind of thing. And he's not supposed to be perceived as good, but it makes it a better character because by the end of the movie, he's changing. He's still got a little bit of that flair to his character, like even towards the end of the movie, but it's a different kind of flair. Like at the beginning of the movie, it's like cockiness. The
Hmm.
end of the movie, it's more of like
Confidence.
him, yeah, confidence, but it's also like
Confidence.
him kind of being goofy and kind of funny and that kind of thing. But he also has that progression with like Pepper. I would say that if we didn't get the things at the beginning of the movie, that his progression character with Pepper would not be as good either because
So
you
Justin,
got well, go ahead.
did you like the movie?
Yeah, I like the movie for
Okay.
that reason. For the
All right.
reason that like Adelia was bringing up, she didn't like the things that
Okay.
was
So
in
I
there.
just
No,
want that
But
for
there
I
is a
just want
thing.
I want to clarify. I want to clarify. I agree with everything you just said, Justin. It makes the character progression throughout this, and it makes like Yinsen's role in this movie is so vital
crucial.
and
Crucial.
crucial to the character progression of Tony Stark. I agree with everything you just said. I just find, as a woman, really hard to watch scenes where guys are being sexist assholes, especially to other women, which he is to the driver of that
Yeah,
Humvee
exactly,
before it
100%.
explodes. That's
Yeah.
just
But
my point. Not
no,
that it
yeah,
shouldn't have been in the movie, not anything like that.
no, I totally agree with that. Like when that said is because there's a lot of things that we don't necessarily want to see. But if you want to
Hmm.
make good storytelling, sometimes you got to go
You got
to
to show
the
the evolution.
you got to
Yeah,
do those.
I'm
cross-
just glad that we sort of move on from that real quickly in this movie. Not that it doesn't shouldn't be there or anything, but for my own personal enjoyment of watching this movie, I'm glad it's not in there that
Yeah.
much.
Oh yeah, and I don't think it should be.
You tend to change real quickly when you're about to die. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? You
yeah.
know. But speaking, Matt, you like this movie? Like,
Um,
does this hold
oh
up
yeah,
still? What do you think?
this is like honestly, this is a like probably a movie. Like I wouldn't say A plus, but I'd give it an A. And then when I was thinking back on it, Marvel took a pretty big risk making this movie, like starting out with this one.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you really think about it, the first movie they put out was Blade, and that had to
Yes.
be a huge risk. I don't know how they came out with that one first, to be honest. But to decide from that point that they're gonna make a universe, a connected universe out of stuff, characters and whatnot, it was a pretty big risk to start with Iron Man when you had like Captain America there and you had, you know what I mean, Thor, some other bigger names, you know what I mean, that you could have started out with. So to establish Tony first, I thought was pretty cool. Um, yeah, you see that he's just a normal dude that he grew up in that military industrial complex. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
to him, that was natural to be making stuff and
Yeah, it
weapons.
killed
And they
Nazis.
also, yeah, but he also said they had medical tech and stuff that they made. You know what I mean? He wasn't just about weapons, but
Yeah, he wasn't totally evil because in that respect, he thought his company was selling the weapons to the good guys.
Yeah, but his
But
partner
it
was
turns
double
out,
dealing.
yeah, exactly.
Partner
But
was
it
yeah,
double
turns out
dealing.
his
Yeah.
company was behind his back selling them to people that ain't the good people.
Yeah. Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah. The double dealing. Yeah, man. It was pretty good.
I
But
just want
yeah,
to
oh, sorry, go ahead.
I
No, no,
just want
man.
to comment on what Matt said about how Blade was the first one. Blade was this Iron Man's the first one Marvel Studios put out, which is
Yeah,
when Marvel, having sold off their character rights to other companies and watched them make movies that they weren't entirely thrilled with, decided they were going to do it themselves. And they decided to start with Iron Man, and I think that was actually a good choice because they had sold off all their like
The big ones.
star
The big
characters,
guns.
their big name characters in the X-Men and the Fantastic Four, and Spider-Man was at Sony, and
Universal had
Blade was
Hulk.
Universal had Hulk, Blade was at New Line Cinema, which is part of Warner Brothers. So like they had like nobody left from like their star characters in
Gotta go to
Marvel
the
Comics,
archive.
and they went through them, and Kevin Feige or whoever decided we should start with Iron Man and build from there, and I think it was a great choice because it turned out to be a great movie.
Yeah,
Well,
because correct me if I'm wrong. Your shout out to the comic book people. Love y'all, love your passion for it. But I don't correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. Respectfully correct me if I'm wrong. I believe Iron Man was kind of like a C list guy, a
at
lower
least
B
B.
guy.
He was no, he
Yeah, it
was
was
like at tops. He was B.
like a lower B and like top C type thing. Where he wasn't like the big guy in the comics. So it was kind of they did roll the dice on it. And ideally, when you said that, you said they didn't like the movies. What movie do you think that that they were watching, they're like, "Yo, man, these people are butchering our characters. We need to make our own stamp." You know what I mean? You think like,
Well,
Fantastic Four 2 was like the
I
final straw?
I don't know
Or-
if it was Fantastic Four 2. You got to remember the third X-Men movie, X-Men: The Last Stand,
Oh,
had come out,
yeah,
and
it
that
had
is
to
an
be that one.
absolute
It had to be
disaster of
that
a
one.
film, an
It had to
attempt
be
of
that one.
telling the Dark Phoenix saga. So,
It had to be
yeah,
that one. It had to
yeah.
be. Because if it was me, it would have been that one.
Yeah, 'cause you got to
That
think
one.
about it. The Spider-Mans were doing really good. Spider-Man 3's kind of looked down upon.
Well, that's
Like
because Sam Raimi tanked
the,
it because they pissed him off at
the first
Sony.
couple of X-Men was seen pretty positively until
First
like
two,
about
yeah,
the third one, like Adelia
yeah.
was saying. So that it was like it started out good, but I'd say Blade's probably the first Blade, especially, was probably the best movie. Well, shoot, man, those Spider-Mans
That
were decent.
that first
Those
X-Men
Spider-Mans were
movie's
good.
pretty damn good too.
Yeah. Because
Yeah,
that one's an actual X-Men
So
movie.
like they were doing okay, but like they weren't making it hardly any profit from these licensing deals for these other studios to
The
make
contracts.
these movies.
Yeah.
And so when they saw that the Spider-Man films in particular were really like well received, they thought, let's try to do it ourselves.
Yeah. Shout out to Kevin.
I
Kevin, man.
I will
Kevin.
say this. I will say this, especially for the main characters that ended up being the main characters and heroes there, especially at the beginning of the MCU.
Mm-hmm.
The person that should have gotten the biggest credit was whoever. So I don't know if at that time when they were
Casting,
picking
yes.
these, was there a casting director that actually made these choices?
Yeah.
Was it somebody like Feige that was making these choices? Because I agree with what Matt was saying. If you're just going to take Iron Man and that's just the hero, like right, so you haven't done any
So-
casting, you haven't done any casting so far, and you're like, hey, we got these characters. It's a big risk to start with Iron Man.
Speaking
But
of risk,
when-
right there, double risk
Well-
on Iron Man, Justin. I want
No.
to bring it up.
Well, the thing I was about to say is when you cast somebody like Robert Downey Jr.
There it is.
as Iron Man,
There it is.
now the risk to me went away because
No.
I feel like at the time, at the time, no, he had already started making his comeback. Everybody already knew he was a great
Still a
actor.
risk.
Yeah, it's a risk, but he got rid of the thing that was the risk. If you were
Yes,
getting
he was-
him off
yes.
a movie,
Yes, he
if
was.
you-
He was out of rehab. Yes, that is correct.
yeah, if you were getting him off a movie where he was still the big drug addict, like in real life, like that he
Yeah.
was at a certain period of time in his life, and commend him for like
Mhm.
stepping up and being able to get past that,
Yes.
then I would say I would agree with you with the risk. But he had already gotten himself better, like
this
all
was
that.
post- I think
good
this was
stuff.
post
And
Chaplin.
You knew he was a
Post-Chaplin,
great.
correct?
You knew he was a great actor, like before all that stuff started tearing his life up. Now he's back to being good. I would be interested to see like if the movie Ben Stiller movie, the funniest crap movie, was that before or after Iron Man?
Thunder.
Tropic Thunder.
I think it was. I think it literally was like. I think it was in the same like year. The same year.
It might be.
It was 08.
Sarah
August.
Holly Finn is the name of the casting director for the MCU. She's cast
Right.
38 films and 17 shows for Marvel Studios to date.
Well, she
she
deserves
has
the credit.
done
Icon.
phenomenal
Yeah.
with the casting.
She's
but-
done the
but-
credit.
but
But the thing I was going to say
Jon
was is
Favreau-
once you had
John
well, I was-
Favreau was the one who said, "I want Robert Downey Jr." And I think
Yeah, he
the
probably
main
played a
person-
part in it too.
No, he was the part in it.
No, yeah, he had to fight the studio.
No,
to
he
get his
he
app.
fought Ike. He fought Kevin. He fought them. He was like, "No, this is my guy. This is him." They're like, "We don't want him because we don't trust him yet." Like, I understand he came out of rehab. I understand he's a little bit more clean than he was back in the '90s and all that jazz. But we still don't trust him. We still don't trust him. We need to hit a home run here. And he was like, "No, we're gonna hit a home run here. This is who I want. This is gonna work." And and John got what he wanted, and that's why John keeps getting what he wants in Hollywood, because John is usually right most of the time.
Well,
Yeah.
the two things I'll say is like I would say like when they got him, I think the risk went away. At least for Jon Favreau and the people actually doing the film, they were like, "Boom, we got a character." But you got to look at this. He not only looks the part, like from the comics, like it's almost like you're trying to get a comic actor, accurate person
Yes.
to play the part because he looks like Tony Stark from the comics to a certain point. And on
His
top
face-
of that,
his face isn't long.
but
So-
and on
so-
top of that, he like the whole part of that character was being like a rock star, right? Partying, doing all this
Mhm.
stuff. He literally played that in real life.
Yeah.
He was doing the rock star drug crap. So who more perfect to play the part than someone that not only looks like the character from the comics, but also lived a life that was similar to the bad
Yes.
part of Tony Stark, like to be able to bring that out. Like I
Yeah.
thought it was genius.
Would you like the actual story of how Robert Downey Jr. got the role, Ferris?
Hit us, Adelia.
Okay, Favreau was hired to direct the movie in 2006, and he planned to cast a newcomer in the role because he thought Iron Man is the star. We can make a star out of, like they'd done with Hugh Jackman as Wolverine and stuff
Yes.
like that with their Marvel movies. They considered Jim Caviezel, Timothy Olyphant, Sam Rockwell, and Clive Owen to play him. But then Favreau met with Robert Downey Jr. and was convinced he was the right actor for the part. Downey was a fan of the comic, and he thought, like Justin had said, that his past made him an appropriate choice for the part, saying that the best and worst moments of Robert's life have been in the public eye. He had to find an inner balance to overcome obstacles that went far beyond his career. That's Tony Stark.
Perfect.
He faced opposition from Marvel Entertainment executives, but would not take no for an answer. Sarah Halley Finn suggested Downey create an audition tape to help persuade them, but they were still not convinced, despite Favreau and Kevin Feige recommending Downey for the role.
Okay.
So Favreau leaked the news that Downey was in talks to the press. The positive reaction that the story got convinced the executives, and Downey was cast in September 2006. He earned $500,000 for that movie.
Right.
Yep, and then it went from 500,000 to he makes now 30 million a
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah.
But you got to think about it. They still kind of did that, right? Because of where Robert Downey Jr.'s career was.
Mm-hmm.
You were getting this guy that was experienced, that you knew had the talent, but at the particular time, it was like bringing a newcomer on because people hadn't seen him in so long. Like he wasn't able to be in like any kind of big movies or any of that because of his life situation and problems. So you still almost did what you wanted to do, bring this newcomer on. He's a fresh face, even though technically he wasn't. But because of what was going on in his life, he was a fresh face. He played Tony Stark amazing, not just in this movie, but pretty much throughout. And I think that some of the things that they're going through now, you get in this timeline and it just starts getting more and more difficult. And you're not going to be able to hit home runs every time.
Yeah.
Like that's just
I think it's working Kiss Kiss Bang Bang and Zodiac really helped him because it showed people that he's back and he's back acting. But now let's get right back into the film, guys. Let's get right into, like what parts of the movie that you really loved, that you really like revisiting when we rewatch the movie. Let's start with you, Matt.
Well, let me see. I liked when he was first putting the suit together and it was like failing on him, kind of like he didn't know how to control it, because that's just more realistic to me. Like I don't know. I don't like sometimes when people just like have full control of their shit or something that they just acquired. But anyways, that was cool seeing them start to design the suit and work on it. But then probably my favorite part was the time when he comes out of the tunnel for the first time, because that was just epic. Like when he comes to the main part where all the dudes are outside and you see him walk up like that, and you hear the dun 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 dun. It was dope. I like that whole scene.
That part of that music is okay. I'm just trying to tag team on what he just said
Okay.
about that music. But dude, I did not like. This might be a hot take. Except for the AC/DC stuff, I thought that they played like at the beginning of the movie and another part towards the end was pretty cool. I mean, obviously it's AC/DC, but like some of the music they were playing during some of the moments that were supposed to be, I did not like it. When I watched it,
You didn't like
today,
the score?
I did not like the music when he comes out of the tunnel. It may have been the same song, but just more bang to it or whatever because of the moment. But like a couple of the parts where he's like flying with the jets or whatever, I did not like that music. I did not care for that at all. It just I was like, what? This is supposed to be a little more epic than what we're hearing right now. That's just what I felt.
Got you. Adelia.
I kind of see what Justin is saying there. I think there's probably a reason that Ramin Djawadi has not done the score for another Marvel film.
Called him out.
I mean, he did all the music for Game of Thrones. He did all the music for Game of Thrones, so he's doing fine.
Oh yeah,
but
yeah, he's amazing then.
yeah. So favorite parts of the film for me are when like he has figured out that because of the Golmira cue that Christine Everhart gives him at the party, that like this is what he has to do. He has to go protect Yinsen's hometown. Like that really is a moment that resonates with me a lot. And then also just all the stuff with Yinsen. It's so crucial. It's so good. Like that man saved Tony's life, then helped him get out of that cave and made that his final like mission in life because he wanted to die because his family was already dead, but he never told Tony that his family was dead, just that he wanted to see them again. And when Tony's like, we got to stick to the plan, and Jensen goes, this was always the plan, it breaks my heart.
Got chills too when you talking about it right now. Chills down my spine right now.
Yeah.
That's my thing too. Justin, hit me.
I'm gonna say that like my favorite parts are parts that like Adelia was tough for her to watch, and I understand why. But like I love that they were in there. I love that it wasn't like kitty gloves being put on. I love the fact that it was just like, hey, we're gonna do this. And I thought that the things that they did were in the right way. Like you said, if that would have been something that went on for 45 minutes of the movie where he was being like a super douchebag, that would be even too much for me. But the fact that it was put at the beginning of the movie, you didn't have to take a huge amount of time for it to happen. You were able to set that character up as like, this is what this person is and everything else. He's arrogant, he's a womanizer, whatever. I thought was perfect for the movie. And I don't feel like some people will even take that chance in some cases on some of the movies that are done today. And I just think it's bullcrap. I think we all have flaws. We all have character flaws, no matter who you are. None of us are perfect. And when you see something like that in this movie, it kind of lets you resonate with what's going on, and you can kind of actually get on board with the character, because you can be like, I understand. Maybe I don't have the same flaws he had, but I have different ones because I'm in a different position. But I can overcome them and possibly be a hero to somebody. You know, that kind of situation makes it better. Whereas when you're trying to put the kitty gloves on, you know, and make everything like PC or politically correct all the time, it just gets redundant and gets stale. And I think that's some of the problems with some of the newer movies, especially in the MCU today has. Like, but this is another thing I've talked about with some of the shows we've been reviewing. You can have a couple of things that are kind of stupid or kind of dumb, but as long as everything else is super cool around it, you don't give a shit about it. Couple of them. One of them's about Adelia's favorite character there. Love that character. Thought that character was awesome. But this mofo come running out the tunnel, and he ain't even shooting the bad guys. It's been keeping him hostage. He's like shooting at the roof and everything. I thought, I was like, come on, man. You could have at least shot somebody. You know what I'm saying?
Justin,
Not one of them. We're in a tunnel. He don't even have to be a marksman to hit someone in a tunnel. You literally only have a few feet to shoot. I thought that was kind of goofy. And at the very end of the movie, we got Pepper. She's in that room, right? And she's wearing the high heels and whatnot. And she's like hitting this button to make this thing happen that literally happens like a couple of seconds. My first thought is, listen, I know there are some women out there that can do the high heels like if you were wearing sneakers. But even if she was wearing sneakers, how the hell she get out of that room so fast not to get hit by that shit? But like I said, that's just a couple of nitpick things that I thought was kind of funny.
Some dumbass nitpicks. I'm not gonna lie to you.
No. That's not to
Dumbass
downgrade the
nitpick.
movie. It was to make a point. Is like,
I know.
there's a couple of little things that people can pick out and be like,
But
yeah, well,
I
how
think-
did this
I think
happen? Or
Justin
how did
was
this
right.
happen?
There are a couple little things in every movie that
Yeah.
someone can
Now,
pick
my-
out
my
and be
thing is
like
this.
that about.
My thing is
But-
about
But that's-
Yinsen, Justin.
But this
I
is
said
me
the-
being positive about the movie. I know those are two things that I'm
I know, but
like, joking about.
let me piggyback off of the Yinsen.
But that
thing,
makes the movie great
agree
because
with you.
everything else is so good.
No, I said the same thing. I was watching with me and Adelia, and I said, "Oh man, why didn't he shoot anybody?" Like I said, I told Adelia, why did? But then I started thinking about it. He didn't want to. He didn't want to live. He didn't want to stay on Earth anymore.
Yeah,
Cause
but you can still take out a couple of people.
yeah, I know.
But also,
Yeah,
he's not a murderer.
Exactly,
Yeah,
Matt.
right.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's the thing. He's not a murderer, and he's already accepted his life. He's like, I don't want to be here anymore, because where I want to be with my family. Because that's why he just put kind of suppression fire, basically. So when I started really thinking about it afterwards, because I said the same thing you said, Justin, I was like, yeah, why didn't he shoot anybody? I would have shot somebody, but that's me. But then I realized, like him, he
No, I
saved
mean, you can
Tony's
even
body.
make in the
Yeah, no.
religious
Then
stuff.
like he
Like-
hooked up Tony's heart to a car battery. He did everything. He's like I'm gonna keep you alive, man, because that's what he was, man. And it showed a more layered approach to Jensen. I think Jensen is one of the best supporting characters in all of the MCU to this day. I grade supporting characters, minor ones that not the ones that like roll over in other movies, kind of like individual supporting characters by him. It's like, how impactful are you like him? Most of them nowadays aren't, because most of them, they end up getting rolled over, so they're not really
Bland.
like him anymore, because they're not individual film like supporting actors anymore. They get rolled over into like bigger and more films. He was like a isolated supporting character, and he's one of the best in all of the MCU.
Well, like
I think he's the best.
Yeah, I was going to say a supporting character that you actually remember after you watch the movie. A lot of supporting characters, you don't even really remember them or what they look like or what they did. I'm just saying that's tit for tat, right? It's like whatever. Like everybody has their like subjective opinion on things. I think it would have been cooler if he actually like maybe not even killed him, like took him out by hitting him in the knee or some shit, and then he goes around the corner and gets surprised and the same thing happens. I thought, man, I wanted my man to, get a couple, you know what I'm saying? Not even necessarily kill him, but, get some arm shots or something. Like, I was like, hell yeah. And then I saw him, he come around the corner. At first, when I hear him shooting, I didn't see that he was like pointing it up. I was like, oh shit. I was like, oh shit, he's coming at him. All right, go, Jensen, go. And then like the next little clip I see, he's like literally aiming towards the sky, like the top of the tunnel. And I'm just like, I just thought it was funny. But my point being is that the movie is so damn good, like you would have to be an idiot. You would have to be an idiot to use those couple of little things I said to like have the movie be ruined for you, because everything surrounding it is so great. And that's what, like I've said time and time before in these shows that we reviewed, is you can have mess ups, but everything around those mess ups has got to be really good. You can even have a side plot in the movie or a show that isn't all that great, but then the main story, if it's really super good and hot, you don't care about that, right? You can get past that. It's whenever the other stuff surrounding it's not that good that everything starts to cave in on itself.
Absolutely.
110%.
I agree with that.
110%.
I was just going to say, watching it now, to me, the funniest part was Terrence Howard saying, "Next time."
Oh my God. Knowing what we know, that is hilarious. It's like the funniest thing in the world. It's the funniest thing in the world.
It's also sad.
But I will say though, like just for the character, not even talking about the actor, because I get what you're getting at there. Like to me, that was kind of cool because you knew you were going to have the chance to put the actual character in the film, like the character we're talking about,
Rhodey,
into that suit. And to me, one of the biggest problems is we got to make it bigger, flashier. I have a feeling that if that movie would have been made now in this time period, that he would have been in the suit. They would have made some reason for him to have to get in the suit just to throw another one out there. But I think it's cool that they held back on that, like temptation.
Mm-hmm.
That had to be tempting to go ahead and throw him in the suit and have him do like a little something to help him win. But they were like, no, we're going to keep that. That's going to be for our second film. We're going to like slowly put that in there. And they like held on to that and like didn't stop. They was just like, all right, cool. We're not going to do that. We're going to hint at it. That's it. We're not going to do it though.
I want to talk about one of my favorite moments is when the Jets, and Tony are like fighting each other, right? And Tony calls him initially. Well, Rhodey calls him initially, and Rhodey's like, "Oh, just top down, driving around, taking a jog." He's like, "I thought you said you're driving around." "No, I'm driving to take a jog in the canyon." He's like, "Oh, okay." Then he hangs up on him, and then calls him again. Adelia points out, by the way, Tony's ringtone on Rhodey's phone.
Rhodey's phone.
Rhodey's
ringtone.
Rhodey's ringtone for was it? You think it's for Tony or is it just for?
No, it's Rhodey's ringtone for Tony.
Okay, is the TV show?
It's the Iron Man theme from the 1960s something cartoon that Iron Man was in, the Marvel Superheroes or something like that.
Yeah.
It was Iron Man's theme. It's actually on the Iron Man soundtrack as well.
So he's talking about it and he's like, hello. He's like, Rhodey, it's me. He's like, I know it's you. Like, no, it's actually me. I'm in a suit. And he's like, what? And then my favorite thing is like at the end of it, after he like destroys the he's like, so what the hell am I going to tell people? He's like, Just tell him, the basic Air Force BS, man. It's a training exercise. What the hell? He's like, ain't no one gonna believe that, Tony. What are you talking about? So unfortunately,
Immediate cut.
we had an unfortunate training exercise that ended
Went
up
wrong.
went wrong and destroyed one of our planes.
Yeah,
The
that's
pilot's
just my.
fine.
I have to say that's my favorite scene
Yeah.
transition in the whole movie, just for
It's
the
amazing.
comedic effect. It's
I just
great.
I lost my shit. It's hilarious because also too like they're like cussing each other out on the plane. It's like, man, you doing all this, and then they get drunk. They're like, man, I love you, man. You don't listen to me though. I love you. You don't. Do you respect me? It's like I love you, man. It's like, you gotta respect me. And then like the strippers are dancing. I don't want to.
I didn't see. I didn't need that either, but I understand that's part of Tony's character at the moment.
those, yeah.
Like, why did the flight attendants have to turn into dancers? And there has
Yeah.
to be a pole that comes. The pole makes
Oh,
no
I
sense
felt-
on the plane. The pole
I
makes
felt like-
no sense. The way that it's coming up from the floor, it makes no sense.
Innovation, Adelia.
It's structural. Yeah.
Structural.
It's not
um,
structural.
But no,
I'm
my,
actually-
my favorite scene of the movie though, it's the last scene. It's the last one. It's the last one where they're like, I know you don't get it. He's trying to like teach us like, I know you don't get it. It's like, and he's like, I am Iron Man. And then my favorite
That's
thing's like,
such a meaningful line in the MCU now that they probably just thought was a really cool way to end the movie.
yeah. And then my thing is like he says it, then they cut to a behind the back shot of him and Rhodey, and you see Terrence Howard's character. He's like, God damn it! What is wrong with you? It's like,
Right.
I'm Iron Man.
Like, but yeah, to me though, I'll say like my biggest surprise, because I haven't watched this movie in a pretty good while, to be honest with you. Even though I liked it, I haven't went back to it too many times. I actually thought the villain in this movie was pretty damn good.
Yeah.
I actually thought they set him up. Like, obviously, he's not this guy who normally would be able to fight against Iron Man, but he does have the suit that makes it a little more equal, and he obviously embellished his and has it bigger and stuff, which could be kind of his downfall because he went too big with it. But like when he had that, I don't even know what the hell it was. I guess it was something that like paralyzed you for like whatever. Like,
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, the
Yeah.
short-term paralysis thing.
Yeah.
That's terrifying
man,
to think
when
about.
he did that thing to like Tony Stark, when he did that, and he's talking to him and everything, I was like, oh man, this is pretty cool actually. Like, this guy's a pretty freaking cool villain. Like, because that to me was like one of my favorite scenes is when Tony Stark, he takes the thing out of his chest and he's still talking to him, and then Tony's barely able to move because it slowly starts to go away after 15 minutes or so. He's finally able to move. He's starting to die because the poison's getting in his blood.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like reaching up for the thing and he can't grab it. And then that stupid little hand like brings it
Dummy.
Tell me.
down. And but yeah, like, but I actually
No, Adelia, was that
respected the
dummy
villain more
or was
in
it the
That
other
was dummy.
one? That was dummy. Okay.
hmm
No, also too, Justin, I'm with you, right? So unfortunately, this created the trend of villain like hero that MCU started to do, but it was the best version of it. It's the best version because
well, I mean, it was the
No,
first time they ever did it.
exactly. So like I discount like but the problem is the reason it was the best version of it is it's Jeff Bridges. Jeff Bridges
Jeff Bridges was phenomenal in
is
this.
amazing though. Like Adelia, like where she talks about the Gomira and Leslie Bibb telling them like, oh Gomira, where he's that scene where everything then like goes quiet, but you can still hear them talk. Where he basically says, "I'm the one who screwed you over." Yes, I'm double dealing, and they're taking like a photo. You hear the menace and the sinisterness in him, and where he does it to the villain guy, like the villain guy he used as a patsy.
Yeah.
You don't feel bad for him, but you kind of feel bad for him because he's a patsy. And then like as he walks out and he's walking by and he basically says like, yo, slaughter them, I don't care. Slaughter them. And you hear the gunshots killing them. You know what I mean? Then you realize like, there's always a bigger evil out there.
I want to say
Yeah.
I want to say something about like the bad guys that are at the very beginning too, and the way they portrayed that whole thing. You're talking about 2008, but I give them kudos because like when we have these discussions out here in the real world, right? When it comes to like any of these groups of people, whether it be Ukraine, Russia, Israel, Palestine, I think the biggest problem is everybody forgets there's a bunch of just everyday people that happen to just
Yes.
live in these places that are kind of sucked in, that are like innocent people. And one of the things I thought was also one of my favorite moments was like, even though they had like, say, and I don't, did they ever tell what country are they actually in during this? Like,
There's no
I don't think
country.
they ever
They
tell the country.
capture him in Afghanistan at the
Oh,
beginning
Afghanistan.
of the thing, so I assume that's where he is
Right.
in
So
the
we'll
cave.
take Afghanistan, right? So like we'll just say it's Afghanistan because that was one of the things I didn't really know exactly where they were at.
Yeah, Afghanistan. Yeah.
Obviously, you have bad people there doing bad things,
Hmm.
and like there's that moment where Iron Man goes over there, does his thing, and he grabs that one dude that was also one of the bad guys and throws him out into the open and said, "He's
It's all
yours."
yours.
And it showed that the people there, the innocent people that obviously have issues because of the fact that these other people are there causing strife, which causes them strife, takes it out on them. They didn't really show like them like really getting at him, right? They just kind of cut away, but you know what's about to happen. And I was like, you know what? Good on them, because that showed like the innocent people that are just like suckered into these idiotic things that get done in some cases. And like, not all the people there in all these places are bad. Nobody's all bad. Nobody's all good. And that kind of thing. So I actually really kind of enjoyed that.
Yeah.
And like I said, like the one of the problems with like say the new Captain America movies is just doesn't make sense that America and Japan are going at each other. You know that would have been China, but they're too afraid to use China just because whatever China might be mad if we use China as the group. So it's like, but I actually appreciated it. It's like I said,
Yeah.
I thought they did a good job with it.
Let's go down the villain. I want to talk about the villain. You liked Obadiah Stane. You like Jeff Bridges. You like what he did.
I do. I really enjoy Jeff Bridges' performance in this. He didn't like, you could tell he didn't come in and half-ass it. Like I feel like some of these big name actors that get to come into these movies sometimes do. He actually really, gave a fantastic performance as Obadiah Stane. The part where he yells, Tony Stark built this in a cave with a box of scraps to the kid that was Ralphie at A Christmas Story really
That's for you,
cracks me
Brandy.
up.
That's for you, Brandy.
That is for Brandy, yeah. But like he's really like on top of things. Like I didn't, when I first watched this movie, did not suspect in all that he was the one that at the board meeting in New York that he had come back from and brought Tony pizza and all that had been the one to lock Tony
Abduction.
out. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think he does really good. He's one of the probably more forgotten villains in the MCU,
Yes.
unfortunately, just because he
It's first.
was only in the one movie and everything. But I think he's of the one and done kind of villains. I think he's one of the best.
He could be.
Bro.
He could be top 5.
I loved it whenever Pepper goes in to download that stuff and he happens to show up, and the whole time I didn't know how much, like I didn't know how much he knew. I was like, oh man, he's got to know what she's doing. He's kind of like goofing around and doing all this, but then come to find out he didn't actually know until he actually like opened up the thing and saw that it said like download complete, and then he was like, oh. But the way he played that, I was like, oh shit, like does he know? Does he not know?
Yeah,
Is
it's
she
like,
getting away
what
with
is
it? Is it not?
what is he about to do to Pepper? That scene
Yeah.
is so tense for me when I first watched it because it was like, oh God, what is he going to do to Pepper right now? Because I love Pepper. I didn't want anything to ever happen to Pepper. And yeah, that was a really well played scene.
I did. Thank you for telling me, because when I first initially watched it, right, when he tells me about the injunction, I was like, okay, that's just boardroom protecting money.
Yeah,
now, right?
yeah.
But then when she downloads the stuff and then the video pops up of them saying the guy you wanted us to kill was Tony Stark, so the money's going up. So he actually initiated Tony's abduction and murder, which means he also then killed U.S. military personnel.
Yeah.
So he orchestrated. So he committed a war crime.
So I will say this though. I will say
treason.
this is another kind of flaw in the story to me. But like I said, everything else is so great that this little flaw right here doesn't really hurt it that much. And that is what you just said. To me, it doesn't make sense that you have one of your greatest inventors of all time that's able to give you all this technology, is why your business and company's got the power it's got and the money it's got, to even try to take him out while he's just being the stupid, like didn't really care about anything, driving around in his fancy cars, drinking all the time and stuff like this kind of character. Now it makes sense for you to try to kill him when he comes back and his life's changed because he was in a near death experience and now he's
Yeah.
not wanting to do as much of the war stuff. He's wanting to try to change their focus and everything else, and the stock market and stuff's falling down on them and all that. That part makes sense, but to me, it doesn't make sense why you would take your biggest asset and try to kill them before that change. So to
Yeah.
me, that part was like an oversight. They probably should have had that recording being like, man, when he was captured, he got away and he came back and changed, and then make some kind of other thing where it's like,
I know.
man,
I
we might have
think
taken
no,
out.
but I think is I would agree with you if he knew he could control Tony. He couldn't
Mhm.
control Tony.
He couldn't
So like, if
control
I
Tony.
I can't control Tony, what's the second best option? I need to kill Tony.
Yeah, but when you're being stupid, uncontrollable, like when you don't have a thing that's harming anything really, except for you just being uncontrollable, but you're also the biggest asset and the greatest mind behind all the things they make, you would be super dumb to take
No,
that guy
no,
out.
because
Now, when that guy
I
gets
agree with
smart,
you.
when that guy
No,
gets smart and
I
figures
think he gets
somebody out,
smart because what
Yeah.
happens is Leslie Bibb's character. I don't remember Christine Everhart. that's
Christine
the-
Everhart.
So Christine Everhart, she's gonna end up showing him the photos from Gomera anyway, right? So imagine if she showed it to him a couple years later, and he finds out that they're war criminals after they created the Jericho. So he wanted to kill him before the Jericho became the new weapon because he then can sell the Jericho to anybody. So
Yeah.
so he needs to kill him before he commits more war crimes. So because he'll grow a conscience maybe. Because I know you're a playboy, you make all that stuff. But at the end of the day, if you find out that you're unless you're like a horrible person with a black heart,
but here's the
you
thing,
find
though.
out you're a war criminal and you're killing children and
And going out
families.
being like Tony Stark, being the rock star, why would your character, like, if you're the evil villain guy, why would your character even care if he found out? Because who's to say he just doesn't side with you and don't give a shit as long as they're making money and he's able to still party?
Because he thinks the
Now,
weapons they're
his
making
life
is
changed.
just for the U.S. government. He thinks the
Now-
weapons they're making are just for the U.S. government.
Now, once his life changes, then I'm 100% at that moment. Hell yeah, it makes sense. Like, well, we got to kill his ass now. But until that life change, he's a piece of shit going around, like Adelia was saying, sleeping with all kinds of women, treating people like shit. Why would you even think that, like,
No, but we're assuming, right? So
why would you think he would automatically be a good guy?
I'm not saying that. I'm saying like, he's going his life thinking I'm a billionaire playboy making money and I'm making weapons for the allies, the America and their allies, the good guys. That's what I'm making. But if you end up finding out that the ones you're making them and the enemy also has your weapons, you're
Right.
gonna start questioning some things like, whoa,
There's
how did
that
they get-
chance, and I would agree with what you're saying if he was just like a CEO but really didn't have any power and he wasn't the brains behind the operation. But you're literally taking the chance of killing the brains behind your operation, the guy who invents everything that you're able to even
and he's
sell,
asking
knows
too
how
many
to do it.
questions.
Right, but he ain't asking those questions until he almost dies.
But
That's
he may
my
start
point.
asking those
It's like-
no, but
To set up the thing for him to get trapped to where he almost dies at, that to me was kind of dumb. Like, until you have any suspicion of him, like, knowing that he's going to care, because right now you think, well, we're in the perfect situation. I, being one of the top dogs of this company, is getting millions of dollars off of this guy's brain, and he doesn't even care because he's driving around sleeping with ladies and in fast cars and all this bullshit and being cocky.
I mean, I
do.
think what he does this for is because he wants Tony out of the way so he can be the CEO of Stark Industries and do whatever the hell he wants to do with it.
yes.
I
Right,
don't-
but like, where is he going to? You obviously see that he doesn't have people there. It would also be, I guess, cool if they had somebody there that was equivalent to Tony, like as far as being able to put things together. But he obviously
Yeah,
doesn't have that.
but weapons manufacturing, it's not like arc reactor tech that Tony is a
Yeah, but
genius
everything
in.
gets stale. Everything gets stale, Ferris. Like, you have to
I
have
know,
that new
but,
blood.
Right, but they have. First off, we don't see all the people that work for Stark Industries. There's all kinds of people there inventing things and improving things and stuff like that. Like the people like Ralphie from A Christmas Story who can't do what Tony did because he's not Tony.
I mean,
Right.
But like what Tony did with the arc reactor is so different from the weapons stuff. Like Tony might have had something to do with the weapons stuff, but what Obadiah really wants is he was the CEO while Stark was still, a teenager after his parents were killed, and then once Tony came of age, Tony took the job. He wants the job back. He's sick of dealing with Tony, and he wants Tony out of the way, and that's
And control him?
basically all this was.
Yeah.
I mean, I can get up with some of that if Tony wasn't so talented. If Tony was just like the spoiled brat who kind of got the CEO position just because of his dad kind of situation and that kind of thing. And the only thing that was important for him was that his
Listen,
name was Clark.
he's Justin. You know, I want to give Matt's breakdown of the villain if he liked it, but I want to leave you this is he's too smart not to ask questions. He's under the impression.
Yeah,
of,
but you have to
no,
ask
but
those
he's under,
questions
no,
first.
exactly. But he's under the impression of like, this
So-
is my dad's best friend, and we're making weapons for the good guys.
Here's how you can set
But
that
then
up.
when
And it
Christy
literally,
Everhart then says, "You just killed people in Gomera. Give me your thoughts. Here are photos of your weapons." That he's too smart not to ignore this. He's gonna start asking questions, and guess who doesn't want to answer those questions? Obadiah Stane. What's he gonna tell him?
Right.
Oh yeah.
Here's how you set that
the
up.
injunction isn't in this scenario. The injunction isn't created, so Tony still has
Right.
power within the board.
well, here's how you set it up. And it literally takes less than a minute in the movie before he goes on the trip to where he almost gets killed. He gets captured and almost dies. You have Tony maybe took a couple of drinks. He's obviously like in a little bit of a drunk state or whatever at like one of these parties or something right before that.
Mhm.
And he goes up to home dude that he trusts, right? Because he was the CEO until he was old enough to take charge and everything. Goes up to him and says, "Hey man, you knew my dad. How would my dad like, us selling all these weapons all the time?" Like just that one simple question, right? That puts doubt into the guy who becomes the ultimate villain or probably is the villain from the very beginning. Like at that point, if he asks a question like that, that's kind of innocent, that doesn't give out a lot, but it is a question of doubt, then I'm like, all right, 100%, you're correct. Right? And that would have been that. But that's what I'm saying. This right here is a small thing. It wasn't like a huge thing. The movie's great. I give this movie, because I don't think it's the greatest movie of all time or anything like that. So I give it like an A minus, at the bottom A level, but above a B. And when it comes to that, as far as a grade, so I love this movie. I think it's great. But I'm just talking about in this particular instance, that's one of the things they missed, which is cool because we just had a cool discussion about that with everybody's ideas.
Yeah, I want to get Matt. I want to get your villain breakdown before we wrap it up and talk about the first ever end credit scene. Matt, hit me. Villain breakdown. Like him, love him, leave him.
Yeah, no, I liked him a lot, especially for being a human villain. You know what I mean? He was real menacing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like when you think of other ones like Ronin or fucking, anyone like that, like they seem kind of silly sometimes and shit. But he was always like menacing, so I liked him a lot. Yeah, that'd be cool if somehow he would have maybe made it through and had some bigger part, but he played his part well. Marvel has a bad problem with the one and done villains and shit, so that was just the start of it. But
Yeah,
no, I
man.
liked him a lot.
The human, yeah. Thank you for pointing out the human villain. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's very menacing as a human villain. Yeah, because most villains are like aliens or some
Yeah.
type of Malekith,
Being.
the evil dwarf.
Yeah.
I will say this too. One of the things I
Just
can
call
appreciate
him
about
an
the,
evil dwarf.
See, yeah, he's a dwarf, right? He's an evil dwarf, right?
No.
Oh, it's an
And-
elf. Is it evil elf? Okay, my bad.
all right, that's close though. That's close.
It's
That is close.
completely different.
There,
Sorry. Yeah, Malekith, the evil elf.
well, it's kind of what elves are talking about. Like, are we talking about Lord of the Rings style? Or are we
Elves.
talking about like
Elves.
Keebler
Elves.
elves?
No, an elf is an elf.
Or
A
elves at the North Pole?
Keebler elf? Come on.
Just
The
they're
elves at
not,
the North Pole are
they're not
short
making
people.
cookies. Yeah,
Well, the elves at the North Pole are short too. I'm
yeah,
just
I know, but they're not
anyway.
dwarves.
Malekith is a dark elf. Thank
Yes.
you.
Yeah, Malekith is not making cookies. You know what I mean? It's not happening.
Malekith was a terrible
Wait.
waste of Christopher Eccleston, but we'll get to that.
We will
Right.
get to that soon. Well, not soon, but
Not
one
soon,
day.
but
Yeah.
soon.
All
Yeah.
right. Well, one thing I do want to point out too is like I thought this was a great starting out movie because of the fact that it did set up some stakes. And when I mean, like, we talked about a character a pretty good amount here that was a side character, but a very important side character that a lot of people I think like as Tony's like building his first suit and everything. He dies. He doesn't come back. He dies, and we can even say the villain doesn't somehow survive and like to come back in another movie.
Yeah, no,
He
Obadiah's
died.
dead.
Right. So like, I appreciate that, especially now after we see what's happening and everything else going on with the MCU. It's like they take that almost all away. But this was a good start of a movie of like, hey, you might love a character that's put in the movie or whatever. They might die though. There's going to be
All right.
stakes and there's going to be sacrifices made.
That's true. But now, guys, let's wrap. We're about an hour in. Let's wrap it all up and let's talk about the very first end credit scene. Started. I'm not gonna say started a trend because I think the trend was here before. But nowadays, people like actually stay and watch the credits because they think it's gonna be an end credit scene. It's gonna happen, yay or nay. But Tony walks in. Someone broke into his house, and it was the first time we saw Mr. Nick Fury walking out the shadows, and he says one line. He says, "Mr. Stark, I'm ready to talk to you about the Avengers Initiative."
He says more than one
Oh,
one line.
Wait, I don't know. Well, that's the only line that matters. You know what I mean? You know, so there's. Wait, really? I think he only says
Yeah.
like one or two lines.
He says that you're part of a bigger universe. You
Oh,
just
yeah,
don't know
yeah.
it yet.
Yeah, you think you're the only superhero here? Yeah, that's a good
Yeah.
point. Yeah. But guys, end credit scene. Quick thoughts on it. You know, where you know, I'm not gonna say where were you when you were watching it, but you know, how did it make you feel? Knowing like, oh wait, what are they doing here? Are they teasing something like the Avengers? Like really, the Avengers? They're gonna do that in live action? Is that what you guys were feeling? Hit me, Matt.
I'll be honest, I was more of a DC person, so I knew of the Avengers, but I didn't, especially with the characters that they had, I didn't know who they were gonna put in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So just at the time, I was like, "Oh, cool, they're gonna make more." You know what I mean? Like I didn't know what to expect, to be honest.
Yeah, the Justice League's better anyway, but continue.
And I didn't know who Sam Jackson
Well,
was
you
either.
Wait,
Yeah.
what? Matt,
What?
you didn't know who Sam Jackson was?
I mean, the actor, obviously, but not.
Nick Fury.
You mean
Nick
Nick Fury?
Fury.
Yeah, Nick Fury.
Yeah, like I didn't know that character for sure.
Okay. Gotcha. Adelia.
I immediately thought, what perfect casting for Nick Fury. And again, shout out to Sarah Halley Finn for completely killing the casting in the MCU. I was excited. I knew by that point that they were making more because, like I said, I watched this a couple years after it came out. Like I think I watched this right before Iron Man 2, because that was a couple years later. But I was excited. I thought it was a nice tease. And one thing we didn't mention in this entire review is Jarvis. Shout out to Paul
Yes.
Bettany as
Paul
Jarvis.
Bettany.
Did fantastic as the voice of Jarvis. And I mean, like, he did not have easy dialogue to say at times.
Yeah.
So shout out to Paul Bettany. But yeah, I was excited.
Paul Bettany, stay winning in life. Married to Jennifer Connelly.
Yep.
Shout out to that guy.
Jennifer Connelly, the voice of Peter's suit in the Marvel Spider-Man movies.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Of course. Of course.
Of course.
Oh, they're getting, you know, that couple getting paid. Just
I forget what he named her, but yeah, that's Jennifer Connelly.
We'll find out. We'll find out.
Yeah.
She's also back as Betty Ross too now.
Oh, is
Eddie
she?
Ross.
I thought that was
Liv
I
Tyler.
thought that was Liv Tyler.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, sorry, wrong person.
Shout out to Liv Tyler. Justin, quick thoughts on the end credits.
I thought it was a little ballsy because like you never know how these things are going to turn out. Just like when you have James Gunn doing what he's doing now. Like if that Superman movie fails in a couple months, you can kiss all them plans you got goodbye, brother. You know what I'm saying?
Wait,
So, like,
Justin, we actually have evidence of that. Remember the Dark Universe?
yeah, no,
Like,
true,
didn't you
100%.
just see the Dark
So
Universe?
it was ballsy to have this
Yeah.
end credit scene because it might
Yeah.
not have turned out to be nothing. I mean, but overall, I saw Samuel L. Jackson. I got excited, then I was let down because two things didn't happen when he showed up on screen. One, he didn't pull out a purple lightsaber, and two, whenever he got in there, he didn't say, "Oh, I'm here to pick up my wallet," the one that says "bad motherfucker."
Yes.
I was disappointed because I'm expecting that kind of stuff out of Samuel L. You know what I'm saying? He don't give
I
a
know
shit.
what you mean. He's one bad.
That was a
man,
Pulp
but
Fiction reference, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
That's
He
good.
tells that guy in the thing, like towards the end of the movie, he's like reaching that trash bag and getting my wallet. And he said, "Well, how am I going to know which one's yours?" He said, "It's the one that says bad motherfucker."
Yeah. That's the scene where they're trying to rob the place, right?
Yeah, but
Let's
that
not
scene's
get into
broken up.
that right now.
Okay.
That
all right,
scene's
got it.
broken up. Pulp Fiction, great movie.
Jennifer Connelly voices Karen, the AI for Peter Parker suits in the MCU.
Man, they should have chose a better name.
They should have, but
like Lisa or something. But on that note, thank you guys so much for joining us. We really hope you guys join us on this journey because it will be a journey.
Mhm.
I mean, it will be a long, wonderful journey. We're not gonna be sad.
I
It'll be a long,
haven't.
wonderful journey.
I'm gonna hot
Are we
take
the
us on out of
fellowship?
here. Yeah, I'm gonna take us on out of here because
Well, well,
I
just
haven't watched this in a while, but I actually think the Hulk movie is actually pretty damn good.
The
But I
Incredible
haven't seen it
Hulk
in a while.
movie,
I think a lot of
which we'll
people. I
watch next week.
think a lot of people agree with you, Justin. I don't think it's a
And I,
hot
and
take.
I and I actually like the casting better than what we ended up with. I don't
Oh,
hate Mark Ruffalo, but I like Mr. Norton better.
yeah. I heard the story was MCU just didn't want to work with Edward Norton because he always has notes.
Let's save that for
He's
next
a great
week's
actor.
episode.
Let's say that for next week. Adelia, where can people find you on the lovely interwebs?
You can find me on Blue Sky at schizoaffectiveadelia.com. You can find me on the sports channel doing Starting 11 with Snark Tuesdays, 5 p.m. Pacific. That's live. And then, of course, the other iterations of the Rewatchers Council for Buffy Thursdays, 3 p.m. Pacific, live on this channel, the entertainment channel. And also the Angel Rewatchers Council. Those are on Fridays at 3 p.m. Pacific. So lots of Rewatchers Council for me. Plus, Ferris and I will be live on Sunday, 6 p.m. Pacific, with Caleb recapping WrestleMania on the open table.
Matt.
You could see me sometimes on here reviewing shows with people.
Yeah,
And you're-
unfortunately, me
and
and
you're
Matt had to
reviewing
finish
your-
Daredevil.
You're reviewing people.
Ah,
You guys are reviewing Last of Us, you're doing Andor, so
Well, yeah, I
lots of
need
stuff
Yeah,
right now.
hey, I have to say
Andor's
those
great.
two shows have picked up my
Andor's
spirits.
great.
Both of
Andor's
them to
great.
me, yeah,
Andor
them
and
two
Last of Us
shows
are
to
great.
me is
They're
like
both
doing
great.
pretty damn good. I even liked the third episode of The Last of Us after Joel
Yes.
got his ass killed, but I still
Yeah.
enjoyed the third episode.
Yo, man.
Spoilers, Justin, for people
Well, I
who
mean,
have
shit,
not
man, I've been
watched
out
it.
2 weeks. I don't give a crap.
Nah,
This is at the end of this is at the end of our show here. They probably already tuned out. So let's be honest.
Hey, well, don't say that.
I mean, I hope they still here. I hope they still here, like and liking and subscribing
like
and
it,
making a
yeah,
comment about my comment.
We'll tell people where they can continue watching these great commentaries of Justin Hamilton.
Bro, you can go. All I gotta do is like what Adelia said. We're watching the new shows and stuff that comes out, the bigger ones, and we're putting out reviews for those, the ones that we personally want to watch. We do a little post credits where we watch the show and stuff. And if you want to, you can join the Ko-fi. Can't remember exactly what dollar amount, but if you join that Ko-fi, you can come on here like Matt does and enjoy us on doing something like this on the Rewatchers Council, or also joining us when we talk about the shows and stuff. If you watch it with us. And I do random movie reviews when I'm able to get away from a full-time job and other stuff and get to go to theaters and watch movies. I say stream it, ditch it, or big screen it. Just did one on Until Dawn, and it's a streamer, baby. I wouldn't say ditch it,
I
but
think
it
we're
ain't.
doing,
No,
I think we're doing a
stream.
Sinners one. And
We're
I'll
finna
say,
do, yeah. As soon as your ass wakes up and says we're doing it,
I'm ready, man. Whenever.
all right.
Do it tomorrow.
You better get your ass ready after I get off
Wait.
work.
Come on. No, what time tomorrow? Oh, no, I can't do it tomorrow. My bad.
See, that's what the problem is. See, guys, I've been waiting on his ass. I've been waiting on it.
All right,
I already got mine Until Dawn. I saw Until Dawn afterwards.
This outro is so long. Ferris, where can people find you?
Fridays, 3 o'clock
Yeah.
Pacific on our sports channel. Me and Caleb talk NFC East, New York Giants, Dallas Cowboys. I do show up on Rewatchers Council on occasion. I'm trying to get on the Angel episodes because that's if you guys look at the description of the Buffy, you there's a clear reason why the Angel means a lot to me because I actually watched Angel before I ever watched Buffy. I actually never watched Buffy ever. I watched Angel, so I was always
Are
kind
y'all
of
done
confused.
with Buffy, or are y'all still like? in
Oh
the
no,
mix?
we just started season 4. There's
Yeah.
7 seasons of it.
Yeah,
Now,
7
did
seasons.
Angel start? Like,
It started.
Angel started at the same time as season 4.
Yeah. So we're doing them simultaneously. So I will show up on that one. Yes, every Sunday. Me and Adelia, the open table. And yes, on the Rewatcher Council MC edition, I'll be on a lot of them because I love these films, man. The comic book, they're comfort films most of the time. I can't wait to watch Captain America: The First Avenger. Can't
I'm
wait to
here
watch.
definitely through Endgame,
All right.
all the
right.
way through that.
Okay, definitely.
After
Gotcha.
that,
I can't wait to talk about my boy Malekith. I can't
Look,
wait.
listen, they climbed the ski slope all the way up to Endgame, and it just seems like that's whenever they put the skis on and started going their ass down.
I don't think
There's
it's
some
all
good.
been
Listen,
awful.
there's some good stuff. That not all of it's bad.
We'll talk about it.
Spider-Man movie.
We will talk about it over the next 3 years.
Yep.
Hit that outro, Adelia.